can't get that fired up to the point where I'm bumping coach and it's getting him off balance and stuff.
That's part I love about him. The guy's all in. Just sometimes.
The Chiefs dynasty has been built on the intense connection between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. Yet, fresh heated footage from their September 22nd clash against the Giants reveals cracks that are deeper than ever before. This wasn't just another sideline disagreement. It was a confrontation that could seriously threaten their legendary partnership. And believe me, it's far more severe than fans realize. The newest explosive altercation. Imagine this. MetLife Stadium, Sunday Night Football, a national TV audience witnessing the defending champion stumble through another sluggish start to the season. The atmosphere was electric, with over 82,000 fans packed in. But the mood on the Chiefs' sideline told a very different story. The Chiefs came into this game with a 0-2 record, marking their worst start since Andy Reid arrived in Kansas City over 10 years ago. Pressure was building with every failed drive, each missed opportunity, every reminder that this was no longer the dominant Chiefs squad that had won hearts and championships. Travis Kelce, at 36 years old, potentially in his final season, had managed only 6 catches for 45 yards through the first 2 games. These numbers weren't merely disappointing. They represented a seismic shift for a player who had redefined the tight end position and become Patrick Mahomes' most trusted target. Frustration was evident in every part of his body language, from animated gestures in team meetings to his increasingly tense demeanor on the sideline. Some analysts argue that his age and awareness that he can no longer control games like in his prime is largely behind his outburst.
Kelce's that dude. He knows he's not what he used to be. And because he's not what he used to be, he can't make up for the loss of a Rashee Rice. He can't make up for the...
The game began with hope. Yet as the first half progressed, it became obvious that the Chiefs were struggling to establish any offensive flow. Drive after drive ended in punts, field goals, or worse, with the team managing just 130 yards of total offense in the first half. The Giants' defense, led by coordinator Wink Martindale, was systematically shutting down the Chiefs with a mix of aggressive pass rush and disciplined coverage that left Mahomes frustrated and bewildered. Late in the first half, as the Chiefs fell behind and their offense stalled again, the tension that had been mounting finally snapped. What followed was captured by NBC's cameras and quickly became one of the most discussed moments of the NFL season. Sources revealed that Kelce was frustrated not only with the play calling, but also with his own performance and the team's failure to execute in key moments. The tight end erupted in what can only be described as an emotional outburst, his voice cutting above the stadium noise as he vented to anyone within earshot. Analysts and former players' immediate reactions highlighted the shock of the moment.
It's Travis Kelce. Now, is it toxic? It is, but it's effective though. And I think this is a sign that...
But the reality was that nobody had ever witnessed this before. Not from Andy Reid. Not in this particular context. And certainly not with such a level of physical assertiveness from a coach renowned for his measured approach to conflict resolution. To grasp the full significance of what unfolded that September night, we need to consider the broader picture of the Chiefs' early season struggles and the mounting pressure within the organization. This was a team entering the season as defending champions, yet facing doubts about their offensive capabilities that hadn't arisen in years. The once gold standard offense, celebrated for efficiency and explosiveness, was now averaging just 17.5 points per game to the first 2 contests, a steep decline that left fans and analysts questioning if the Chiefs' championship window was closing. Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback previously unfazed under pressure and one of the most clutch performers in NFL history, was showing signs of the accumulating strain. His completion rate had dipped to 62.5% across the first 3 games, well below career norms and a worrying sign of timing issues in the passing game. The running game was inconsistent, with Isaiah Pacheco held under 50 yards in 2 of the first 3 matchups, forcing the Chiefs to rely heavily on a passing attack that was clearly struggling to find its rhythm. For Kelce, these early season struggles meant much more than statistical underperformance or temporary growing pains. This was a player who had dominated his position for over a decade, been Patrick Mahomes' security blanket through 3 Super Bowl victories, and redefined what it meant to be a tight end in modern NFL. At 36 years old, with retirement rumors swirling. Each game felt like it could be part of a farewell tour. The pressure before him wasn't merely about winning. It was about validating a legendary career and ensuring that his final chapter would be authored on his own terms. The personal pressure on Kelce extended far beyond the football field into areas few NFL players ever encounter. His high-profile relationship with Taylor Swift had elevated him to a level of celebrity that transcended sports, bringing relentless media scrutiny that touched every part of his life. Media appearances, podcast obligations, and constant attention stemming from dating one of the world's biggest pop stars led some question if his focus was entirely on football. Performing was no longer only about victories. It was about demonstrating that his priorities remained intact and that his legendary work ethic hadn't been compromised by fame. All these tensions and pressures finally reached a breaking point in dramatic fashion. The incident occurred in the closing moment of the first half, after the Chiefs had managed just 2 field goals on 6 offensive drives. The offense had totaled only 130 yards in the first half, a shockingly low output for a unit once among the NFL's most explosive. As the players returned to the sideline following yet another failed drive that ended in a punt, the emotional dam that had been holding back weeks of frustration finally burst. What happened next was unprecedented in the Reid-Kelce dynamic and represented a major shift in the power balance of their long-standing partnership. Instead of Kelce initiating physical contact, as had been the norm in past confrontations, it was Reid who took the assertive stance. The 67-year-old coach, visibly frustrated by both the team's performance and perhaps Kelce's emotional state, delivered what witnesses described as a firm chest-to-chest bump that nearly knocked the 250-pound tight end off balance. The role reversal was striking. The coach, historically the calming presence, had now become the aggressor. The steady influence, the guiding hand that had always navigated the team through rough waters, was now delivering the physical wake-up call. The episode lasted only seconds, but its effects resonated far beyond that instant, continuing to shape perceptions of both men for the rest of the season. Cameras captured every nuance with the precision only modern broadcast technology allows. Reid's animated gestures as he conveyed his message, Kelce's startled expression as he absorbed the unexpected physical contact, the swift intervention of teammates who recognized the need to de-escalate the situation before it, spiraled out of control. What made this confrontation particularly remarkable was the visible shock on Kelce's face. Clearly, this was not something he anticipated from his longtime coach and mentor. The immediate aftermath saw both men quickly regain composure with professionalism and emotional intelligence that had sustained their partnership through prior challenges. Yet, the damage to their public image, and possibly the core dynamic of their relationship, had already been done. To fully understand why this sideline clash struck so deeply and carried so much significance, we have to rewind the clock. This was not the first time tensions between Kelce and Reid had boiled over. In fact, it was simply the latest chapter in a long history of explosive moments defining their relationship, a pattern of eruptions behind the headlines. The story of Reid and Kelce's volatile dynamic first captured national attention during Super Bowl 58, culminating in what became the most infamous sideline confrontation in championship game history. February 11th, 2024, at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. With millions of viewers worldwide, Kelce delivered a shoulder-to-shoulder bump that nearly sent the 65-year-old Reid tumbling. The incident was so shocking and unexpected during the most important game of the year that it overshadowed much of the actual gameplay, instantly going viral and sparking nationwide debates on respect, professionalism, and the limits of competitive passion in professional sports. The Super Bowl incident unfolded with breathtaking intensity, as Reid later recounted.
I wasn't looking.
I saw that. It's a fumble. That was another turnover.
Yeah, he didn't know
that. Your place.
He didn't know I was going to go that far.
Right.
So he came over and gave me a hug. So sorry about that. But you know what?
Reid's immediate reaction displayed his signature ability to defuse tension with humor and understanding. Yet the underlying issues were far more serious and complex than his lighthearted explanation suggested. The Super Bowl confrontation occurred during a particularly frustrating and high-stakes moment for the Chiefs' offense, as the pressure of football's biggest stage collided with their inability to execute at their championship standard. Kelce had recorded just one catch for 1 yard in the first half. feeling sidelined and underutilized in the most important game of the year. For a player renowned as Patrick Mahomes' most dependable target in critical moments, this invisibility was both professionally frustrating and personally devastating. When running back Isaiah Pacheco fumbled at the 5-yard line during a pivotal drive capable of shifting the game's momentum, Kelce's frustration finally erupted. The tight end charged toward Reid, who was fully focused on his whiteboard, diagramming the next offensive adjustment, and delivered a blindside shoulder check that sent the coach stumbling forward, nearly colliding with other players. The physical impact was shocking enough, but what followed stunned those who witnessed it firsthand. A verbal eruption ensued, captured on hot microphones in all its raw intensity, leaving an indelible mark on everyone present. The intensity was completely unfiltered. Kelce unleashed a barrage of profanities, shouting, "Open up the damn playbook and give me it all," while flailing his hands and invading Reid's personal space. The confrontation lasted nearly 10 seconds, an eternity on a Super Bowl sideline, until teammates Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes intervened to separate the two before the situation escalated further. The image of Kelce screaming inches from Reid's face, his emotions entirely uncontrolled, became one of the most iconic visuals of the Super Bowl and would be replayed endlessly in the days and weeks that followed. The aftermath revealed just how delicately both men had to navigate the resulting public relations storm. With millions of fans and media analyzing every gesture, Taylor Swift, watching from a luxury suite with friends and family, was visibly shaken, covering her mouth and leaning forward in apparent concern. The incident prompted immediate criticism from former players and sports analysts, with many questioning whether Kelce's behavior had crossed the line from passionate competition to outright disrespect for authority and team hierarchy. Kelce's post-game accountability, however, demonstrated his recognition of the seriousness of his actions.
Can't get that fired up to the point where I'm bumping coach and it's getting him off balance and stuff. When he stumbled, I was just like, oh, my head.
Or even, let's be honest, the yelling in his face too is over the top. I think there's better ways to handle this retrospectively.
Yeah.
His prompt acknowledgement of wrongdoing during a podcast with brother Jason revealed a high level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence, helping to diffuse much of the criticism and signaling his understanding of proper boundaries. Yet, the Super Bowl incident was not the start of this pattern of volatile behavior. It was merely the most publicized manifestation of a dynamic that had been brewing for years. In July 2023, during training camp at Missouri Western State University, Kelce was involved in 2 separate physical altercations with backup defensive players on consecutive days. Though these incidents received less attention due to occurring during closed practices, they revealed the same intensity and emotional volatility that later erupted on the Super Bowl stage. The training camp confrontations began with what appeared to be a minor disagreement during a red zone drill in the sweltering Missouri heat. Kelce engaged in a shoving match with cornerback DiCaprio Bootle after the rookie defender attempted to strip the ball following a completion. The physical scuffle lasted several seconds and required teammates to intervene, though many dismissed it as normal competitive heat during intense practice. The following day, an even more serious incident occurred, crossing the line from competitive intensity into potentially dangerous behavior. During another red zone drill, Kelce dropped the ball and unleashed a full-force left-handed punch that connected firmly with linebacker Jack Cochran's helmet. The strike was captured on video by fans attending the open practice and quickly went viral, highlighting Kelce's emotional volatility and raising concerns about his ability to manage his temper even in practice. Reid's response to these incidents reflected his philosophical approach to handling volatile personalities.
I love Travis's passion, man. So I'm okay with that. We didn't have enough of it that second quarter. Well, it wasn't where we needed to be. So within reason, he knows. He knows when to back off the pedal and knows when to push it too. So.
His measured reaction revealed a coach who had long accepted that managing Kelce's intensity was part of the job and a necessary element for maximizing his production. Following the punch incident, Kelce took to social media to admit his mistakes and take responsibility, posting, "Got to be a better teammate. Got to be a better leader." Plain and simple. This recurring cycle of explosive behavior followed by immediate accountability and self-reflection became a hallmark of the Reid-Kelce relationship, demonstrating a level of emotional intelligence that helps explain why Reid continued to tolerate and even embrace these outbursts. This pattern mirrors Reid's own coaching history and his evolution as a leader of volatile personalities. During his tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles, Reid was known for a tough-love approach, including episodes such as forcing offensive guard George Hegman to push a 500-pound blocking sled the length of the field in front of the entire team. Reid's willingness to use public humiliation and physical discipline as motivation set a precedent for the intense, emotionally charged confrontations later seen with Kelce. The Hegman incident during Reid's first training camp with the Eagles in 1999 involved the coach whistling calmly while forcing the veteran guard to endure extreme physical punishment in front of teammates, media, and fans. The psychological impact was immediate and severe. Hegman was released the next day and never played in the NFL again. But it also cemented Reid's reputation as a coach demanding absolute accountability and willing to take extreme measures to enforce standards. The progression from the Hegman punishment to the Kelce confrontations shows how Reid's approach matured over the years. Where he once relied on public humiliation and physical discipline to assert dominance, he now engages in what could be called emotional negotiations with his star players. The fact that Kelce not only endures these confrontations, but often thrives afterward indicates that Reid has learned to channel volatile personalities rather than suppress them. What makes the September 2025 incident particularly significant in this historical context is that it may mark a turning point in the relationship. For the first time, it was Reid who initiated physical contact, crossing the line from verbal coaching into physical confrontation, delivering his message through force rather than words. This role reversal suggests that even the NFL's most patient and understanding coach has limits, and that Kelce's emotional outburst may be testing those boundaries in unprecedented ways. All this history set the stage for what unfolded in September 2025. But the real question isn't just about the heat of the moment event. It's about what followed. The aftermath revealed how delicate the balance had become and what this clash could mean for the Chiefs' future. The immediate consequences of the September 22nd confrontation between Travis Kelce and Andy Reid demonstrated a masterclass in crisis management and damage control, while also exposing deeper fractures and pressures within one of the NFL's most successful and scrutinized partnerships. Within hours, both men worked diligently to control the narrative and minimize fallout, with Reid's post-game press conference setting the tone for how the organization would frame what millions had just witnessed on national television. Reid's prompt response showcases trademark ability to diffuse tension while maintaining authority.
So that's part I love about him. The guy's all in. You know, just sometimes I have to be the policeman.
But beneath the carefully crafted public statements and measured language, subtle signs indicated that this latest confrontation had touched on something deeper and more concerning than previous episodes in their turbulent history. Unlike the Super Bowl incident, where Kelce immediately accepted full responsibility for his behavior, this time there was a noticeable delay in his public response and an initial reluctance to engage with the media. The tight end avoided direct comments, leaving the locker room before reporters arrived and declining interview requests. Highly unusual for a player who typically embraces media attention and prides himself on articulating his thoughts and emotions. The broader context of the Chiefs' struggles made this incident particularly worrisome for those analyzing the team's championship prospects and long-term viability. Entering Week 3, the Chiefs became the first offending Super Bowl champions to start 0-2 since the 1999 Denver Broncos, placing them in historically poor company and raising serious questions about their ability to sustain championship-level performance. The offensive struggles that triggered the confrontation were not simply early-season growing pains or rust. They highlighted fundamental questions about the team's identity and their ability to adapt to the natural evolution that affects all championship organizations. Kelce's individual statistics through the first 3 games painted a concerning picture of a player potentially in decline. Just 10 receptions on 17 targets for 134 yards and only 1 touchdown. While still respectable for most tight ends, these numbers marked a steep decline from the elite, game-changing production that had made him the dominant player at his position for over a decade. At 36 years old, with the NFL's physical demands inevitably taking their toll, questions about his future and his ability to maintain Hall of Fame-level performance were becoming increasingly unavoidable. The timing of the confrontation, during what many industry insiders speculated could be Kelce's final season, added urgency to the situation. With retirement rumors swirling throughout the offseason and his contract set to expire after the 2025 season, every game felt like it could be part of his farewell tour. The possibility that his legendary partnership with Reid might end not with championship triumph and mutual celebration, but with recurring sideline confrontations and public frustrations, was a sobering reality for Chiefs fans accustomed to excellence and precise execution. Immediate reactions from within the organization offered insight into how those closest to the situation perceived it. Patrick Mahomes, usually diplomatic and measured in public statements, was notably defensive when asked about the incident, emphasizing the respect and bond between Reid and Kelce, while acknowledging that such confrontations energize the entire team. His comments suggested that even teammates accustomed to the volatile dynamic were beginning to feel the pressure of these repeated incidents. What made this particular incident especially significant was its timing within the broader context of Reid's coaching philosophy and his long-documented ability to manage difficult personalities. Throughout his career in both Philadelphia and Kansas City, Reid has been known for exceptional skill in handling challenging stars. From his early days with players like Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens in Philadelphia to his current success with Patrick Mahomes and other high-maintenance athletes in Kansas City, the fact that he felt compelled to physically confront Kelce suggested that Reid's usual methods of motivation, communication, and behavioral management may have been losing effectiveness or approaching their natural limits. The immediate impact on team performance offered some encouraging insights into how the confrontation influenced the locker room dynamic and players' ability to channel emotional intensity into productive results. The Chiefs rallied for a convincing 22-9 victory over the Giants, showing markedly improved offensive efficiency and execution in the second half. This suggested that, at least in the short term, the emotional release and intensity from the confrontation may have actually sharpened the team's focus and performance rather than acting as a distraction or source of division. However, the long-term consequences remained uncertain and concerning for analysts examining the sustainability of this approach to team management. Sports psychologists and organizational behavior experts noted that while emotional confrontations can sometimes generate short-term motivation and clarity, they may also lead to lasting resentment, trust issues, and communication breakdowns if not properly addressed. The key question for the Chiefs organization was whether Reid and Kelce could preserve their historically productive partnership while navigating increasingly frequent emotional outbursts and public displays of frustration. The financial dimension of the situation also could not be ignored. With Kelce earning roughly $14 million per year and Reid's contract placing him among the highest-paid coaches in the NFL, the organization had substantial investments in both men. The prospect of having to choose between them or managing ongoing disruption and distraction caused by their confrontations posed a potential threat to the team's championship window and competitive standing in the AFC. What was clear to anyone observing was that the September 22nd confrontation represented far more than just another sideline disagreement between a coach and a player. And now, everyone is asking whether their relationship may be damaged beyond repair. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.